Hi, everybody. My name's Adriana. I'm here with my team, Kimberly Hart and Devin Johnson, and this is our presentation on the turnover intentions and our surveys and our results. Slide. This is what our presentation will consist of. I will begin with the introduction. Devin will then come on and talk about the methodology, the descriptive and correlation, regression, and prediction models, and Kim will close it out with the recommendations and the conclusion. Slide. So this is our introduction on the employee turnover prediction model. The employee turnover continues to be a persistent challenge for organizations across industries. When people leave, it's not just about the cost of recruiting and hiring replacements, but also the loss of institutional knowledge, the impact on the team morale, and the disruptions on the day-to-day productivity. In competitive labor markets, understanding why employees leave and taking steps to address those reasons is critical for long-term organizational success. The main focus of our project is turnover intention, which is essentially how likely an employee is thinking about leaving their current role. We know from prior research and from textbooks that certain workplace factors can significantly influence this likelihood. For our study, we chose to focus on three factors: job satisfaction, managerial support, and organizational support, because they are consistently shown to have a strong connection to retention and engagement. Job satisfaction looks at how fulfilled employees feel in their current roles, whether they find work meaningful or whether they have opportunities for growth. Managerial support examines how well managers provide resources, guidance, and communication, and how approachable they are when employees need to discuss a challenge. Organizational support measures how well employees feel the company aligns with their values, provide fair treatment, and offers opportunities for training and development. So what we did is we collected data on these factors using an anonymous online survey that we shared with multiple people, all our contacts with different job titles, and work with different organizations. This allowed us to identify which of these factors were most predictive of turnover intentions in our sample. Our purpose is twofold: to create a predictive model that uses survey responses to calculate a turnover likelihood score for each employee, and second, to use those insights to recommend targeted interventions that can address the most influential factors. This report is structured to walk through our process from start to finish. We'll begin with a description of our survey design and data collection methods, then move on to the results of our analysis. After that, we'll explain how we developed the predictive model, and finally, we'll share specific actionable recommendations for improving retention based on our findings. I will now pass this on to Devin. Devin will go on to our methodology. Devin.
Oops, was muted. Sorry. Hello, my name is Devin Johnson. Today I'll be presenting on the research into the factors that influence employee turnover and retention. Our goal with this project was to understand the key drivers behind why employees might consider leaving their jobs and to create a model that could potentially predict this behavior. This presentation will walk through our methodology, key findings from the descriptive and correlation analysis, the results of our regression model, and our predictive model. Uh, to conduct this study, we created a blind survey using Google Forms. Here's our survey here, pictured on the left. Our survey was designed to measure four key constructs: job satisfaction, managerial support, organization support, and turnover intention. Leveraging our diverse work history, we used a variety of questions types, including 12 Likert scale questions, ranging from strongly disagree to strongly agree, ranked from 1 to 5, as well as two ranking questions and two binary yes or no questions. These questions we felt were important to us and would be great indicators of turnover intention. The full results of every question are available in Appendix A of our paper. We distributed this survey through our peer and social media networks like LinkedIn over the course of 1 week. Our target demographic were working professionals We were able to successfully collect 125 anonymous responses, 25 over the minimum of 100. Like I mentioned, this was a blind survey, so we didn't collect any identifying information for this survey. This was critical in making all participants feel comfortable so we could get their honest feedback on the survey. After the survey was closed, we used ChatGPT to clean the data, organize it, create a descriptive correlation and regressive model, and help identify patterns and relationships in the data. And so here are questions from our survey for each section. There are three questions missing. The last question here was I have considered quitting my current job in the past 12 months. Depending on how they answer that, it branches into two different questions. So they answered yes. They were asked to rank the three reasons they considered leaving their job, but they said no. They were asked to rank the three reasons why they stayed at their work. And then I have the last question about if they had a best friend at work. And these are the results of those last um, three questions here. And so, as you can tell here, 48 of the respondents had considered quitting their job in the past 12 months, while 52% had not. This highlights that a substantial portion of the workforce is actively thinking about leaving, which reinforce the importance of the research that we're doing. And then on one hand, even though there's a large amount of people looking to leave, there are also a large amount that have a trusted friend at work. Which we learned in chapter 6 is a good indicator of work job satisfaction. So social bonds are important, and it may be enough to retain some of these employees. But for the no answers, the top three results were work-life balance, compensation, and meaningful work for the are making an impact. However, take note that training and development and company culture both score low there. And so, two things tied to management and organization. And for yes, the top three were lack of career growth, compensation, and management issues, while unsatisfying work and work life balance were both scored low. This could be a great segue into our findings where we discuss the more significant predictors like management and organization support. Looking into the initial descriptive analysis of our project here, we found that participants on average scored slightly above average in all four categories. So the mean here, all of them are over three, which suggests a generally positive outlook among our respondents. However, when we look at the variability or the standard deviation, we notice something a little interesting here is that manager support and organization support had the highest standard deviations, meaning that there's a much wider range of opinions in these factors. This indicates that they are not universally positive and could be areas of concern for some employees and employers. Our correlation analysis revealed some very clear relationships. As you can see, job satisfaction managerial support is 0.78. That's a positive correlation, which suggests that employees receive more support from their managers. Their job satisfaction is higher. The same in organization. It's 0.83, which is a strong correlation. And so, as employee satisfaction grows as they perceive more support from the organization. And then we have a moderate positive correlation between job satisfaction and turnover and tension. And so if you look a little closer, it suggests that job satisfaction and turnover and tension are related to the other factors still in the same way. This positive correlation means that as job satisfaction increases, turnover and tension also increases, which is highly unusual and warrants further investigation. And so we went in and reversed the turnover intention, in which we found that everything was negative correlation to correlate it to turnover. So we had manager support, organization support, and job satisfaction all at a negative. Um, it was these negative relationships imply that as employees receive greater support and satisfaction in their roles, their intention to leave decreases, consistent with established organization behavior theories. However, this does not change our regression model, our predictive model. So we just changed turnover intention to retention intention to make the data understood a little bit better in our findings. But overall, we saw a strong positive correlation between job satisfaction, manager support, and organization support. And most importantly, we found that all three of these variables were negatively correlated with turnover intention. This is a critical finding as an employee satisfaction and support for their manager and organization increases, their likelihood of considering leaving their job decreases. And it highlights the importance of fostering supportive managerial and organizational environments to improve retention outcomes. Next, we ran a multiple regression analysis. The purpose of this was to identify which of the predictors, job satisfaction, manager support, and organization support had the strongest and most significant effect on turnover and tension. And let me explain what we were able to find. And here, looking first at the estimate, the estimate represents the predicted change in the outcome variable. For every 1 unit increase in the predictor, which is turnover and retention, while holding all the predictors constant. So manager support increases by 0.12, organization increases by 0.26, job satisfaction increases by 0.02, and the constant is 2.12. The standard error, which measures the accuracy of the estimate, a smaller standard error compared to the estimate indicates a more precise estimate. And so, as you can see here, manager support and organization both align with being more precise, making sure to align with the precise estimate. And then lower limit and upper limit. What we're looking for is that to be statistically significant, it can't pass through zero. And so as you see, manager support does not pass through zero. Organization support does not pass, but job satisfaction does, which means that it is not statistically significant. And to further prove that is that using the p-value, we used the 0.05 and the 0.10 tests, and our analysis showed that both manager support and organization support are statistically significant predictors of turnover and tension. You can see this with their very low p-values. Interestingly, job satisfaction was not found to be a significant predictor in our model. This is a key takeaway. While job satisfaction is positively correlated with support, it is the support from our managers and organization that directly impacts the likelihood of the employee staying, at least in our data set. So based on our significant findings from our regression model, we were able to create a predictive model to estimate turnover intention, our retention intention. And so the equation is retention intention equals 2.12 plus 0.12 times manager support plus 0.26 times organization. This model shows that for every 1 unit increase in manager support, the predicted retention intention score increases by a small amount. And for every 1 unit increase in organization support, the score increases for an even larger amount. The higher score in this model actually indicates a lower likelihood of leaving. In other words, improving support from managers and organization directly lower the chances of employees leaving. One thing to take notice here is that most of the bottom 10 results, which we have here listed on the right, job satisfaction was scored higher than managerial support and organization support, which could further prove that having a good manager and organization is important for your demographic of working professionals. The remainder of the results can be found in Appendix B in our paper. In conclusion, our results strongly suggest that if a company wants to reduce turnover intention or increase retention intention, they should focus their efforts on improving the quality of their managerial and organizational support. These factors proved to be the most reliable predictors in our study. And so I will pass it on to Kim to go over recommendations and conclusion.
All right, my name is Kimberly Hart, and I'll be covering the recommendations and conclusion for our project. Our survey and regression analysis really boiled down to two key factors that make the biggest difference in whether an employee plans to stay or go. Like Devin said, it's managerial support and organizational support. That's important because we can be strategic instead of just trying to fix everything at once. We can focus on the areas that will give us the biggest impact. Will you switch slides? The first recommendation that we have is to enhance manager development programs. When I say manager development, I don't mean just sending a manager off to a quick training once a year. I'm talking about consistent, ongoing leadership coaching that helps them master feedback, communication, and career guidance skills. If managers can set the tone for an employee's daily experience by being a supportive manager, that can turn a stressful week into a more manageable one for an employee. But a disengaged or unskilled manager can drive good people out the door. Our data has shown that a 1-point boost in manager support out of 5 can actually reduce turnover and tension by 0.24 points. And that may sound like a small change, but across hundreds of employees, that's a huge shift in retention rates. Our second recommendation is to strengthen organizational support systems. This is about the big picture, like policies, resources, and a sense of fairness. It's making sure that the employee sees clear opportunities to advance within the company and that the decisions the company makes are transparent and that the employee feels that the company values their growth. This category actually had the strongest statistical impact in our model. A 1 point increase here reduced turnover intention by 0.26 points. In everyday terms, this is like saying when an employee trusts the organization and feels supported, they're much more likely to stick around, even if the work is challenging. Our third recommendation is to formalize onboarding and mentorship. We know that in the first few weeks on a job, it can make or break someone's opinion of the company. A strong onboarding process combined with a mentor that makes an employee feel welcome helps them learn faster and connects them to company culture. Our feedback, our survey actually backs this indirectly. 72% of respondents said that they do have a best friend at work, and that's a big deal. Friendships at work have been linked to higher engagement and satisfaction. And if we build those relationships early on, we're planting seeds for long-term retention. And our fourth recommendation is recognition and career growth initiatives. While job satisfaction wasn't the strongest statistical predictor of turnover in our model, it's closely tied to support. Recognition programs, whether it's a formal award, a shout out in a meeting, or even just a quick thank you email, tells employees that we see you, we value you, and we value what you do. Career growth is just as important. If an employee can see where they can go within the company, they won't look for work outside and for their next opportunity. Even just small investments here and there can have a ripple effect on engagement and loyalty. If we can put these recommendations into action, focusing on manager support and organizational support, coupled with strong onboarding and recognition, we can directly target the main drivers of turnover. And this is because it's based on our own data and we're not just using generic HR ideas, we're actually tailoring it to what our respondents actually said matters most to them. Can you switch slides? So in conclusion, we learned that while job satisfaction does play a role, the real game changers are how employees are supported by their managers and by the organization as a whole. For the organization, this means making a commitment both in the culture and in the systems to improve in those two areas. Structurally, it means fair policies, clear opportunities and resources to help employees succeed. Culturally, it means having leaders who communicate well, give recognition, and genuinely care about their teams. The return on that investment isn't just happier employees, it's lowering hiring costs, stronger institutional knowledge, and workplace reputation that actually attracts top talent. Looking ahead, if the organization takes these steps, we're not only going to reduce the turnover intention, but we'll create a culture where employees don't just stay, they'll thrive. And that wraps up my section.
And that's a thank you from Group 4 on our survey and analysis report. Have a good one.
Thank you.